right, welcome back to Smash Factor. This is Andy Fish, PGA Professional, and I'm here again with Kevin Kramp, Head Professional at Hidden Glen Golf Club. We talked a little bit about travel and stuff, had a great time, but I want to talk a little bit about tech that's coming down the pipe. Anything on your radar that you're seeing that looks pretty cool?
Yeah, a couple real good things, and thanks for having me back on again.
No problem.
Much appreciated. I think the biggest thing is as instructors, we're always looking for how we can help our students improve.
Yep.
And I think you and I both know that a person that hits the ball 200 yards, 210 yards, can only do so much if they can't hit the ball further, which, hey, go to you, go to me.
Little fitness
learn
stuff,
a little, with you, learn a little fitness, then learn a little technique. With me, some technique. But the big thing is how do they track that?
Right.
And it's not just a handicap. It's not just fairways hit. It's not greens hit. It's not putts. It's looking at 3-putt percentage, looking at how many times you hit the green and where your miss is from 150 yards.
Yeah, and what I found out is before people get glassy eyed because we start talking numbers and tech and all that stuff, and they're like, oh, whatever. But no, seriously. People are always saying, I only have this much time. I can only practice for an hour. I can always, my family, I got kids, I'm a coach in the basketball team. I don't have any time. That's what the tech's for. The tech is for, hey, you got a 15-minute window. Let's make sure you're doing it right. And if you're doing it right, then you're going to be getting better. Now, if you go waste that 15 minutes just slapping putts around a green a little bit, maybe no data coming back except for if you made it or not.
Exactly.
What's the use, right?
Yeah.
So let's really make, I guess, the most use of your time, right? Make it super quality time instead of just slapping it around a little bit. And that's how you get better in those small windows. That's the only way, really.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree with you. I mean, like you just said, if someone's got 15 minutes, and they're that 20 handicapper, there's a great company, ShotScope, which helps you track your data so you don't have to write it down. It's there and it records it for you as you hit shots. They got a great stat online where they talk the 20 handicapper is going to 3-putt 19% of the time. And this is based off of all their stats from all their players. So not only does it give you your stats, but it compares to other players at your level. So you're like, okay, hey, I'm a 20. I don't hit it that far. Where can I really improve to get down there? Well, you look at that stat, an 8 handicapper is going to 3-putt 10% of the time.
So that's
a huge, that's a lot.
That's like the number one thing, right? You talk to your students and we all go through the thing. What are your goals? Okay, my goals are to be consistent and I want to hit further. Yeah. So that's great. But when you ask them, how's your putting? Oh, it's terrible. What does terrible mean?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you are better. Maybe you're a 20 handicap and you think 3-putting 90% of the time is terrible.
Right.
But you're actually right on. That's good.
Right.
You're good for your 20 handicap.
Yes.
Now, if you want to get down to a 10, we just have to reduce that number.
Correct.
But we have to increase or reduce other numbers too.
Correct.
So I think it's also having a little self-realization of what you're doing.
Right.
A lot of people just don't have a good concept. People throw around the putting all the time. Oh, pros miss 50% of their 6-footers. Well, yeah, but if it was a flat putt, they don't. Correct. And they're going to out-putt you all day long.
All day long, yeah.
And it's not even close.
No.
Because they hit the center of the putter.
Correct.
But the thing is we need to stop saying just these numbers, throwing them out in the air and say, for your age group and for your handicap,
right,
you're right on. But this one is really low. We have to work on this.
Correct.
And then you hyper work on that, right? Are you a believer in working? I mean, we all want to work on the whole game, but are you a big believer in the thing that's holding you back most, working on that the most?
For sure. I mean, I've got some students, as I'm sure you do, that are stuck on getting their swing to look a certain way, and that's important.
Yeah.
Obviously, but it's more important to know what the ball is going to do.
Right.
And if you're on the golf course, how to watch the signs it's getting worse or it's getting better. I mean, it's a simple fact of if you can go out there and work on whatever miss you have that day and play that shot, you're going to be better off. So for me, it's people eliminating their miss and then trying to improve those areas that are weaker. Take them on the golf course and show them, hey, 100 yards and in, you're making a 4 every time. You're going to be an 18 handicap quick even if you hit every fairway.
Right. Well, Tiger had a great piece of advice this week. He said, hit the center of the face.
Yes. Sounds weird.
Start with small swings.
Yep.
Hit the center of the face. And when you're good at that, make your swing a little bigger.
Well, I thought what was interesting is one of the caddies we had in Ireland, similar onto this, is how, as a junior, how he was taught. He was given a 7-iron. And he said, your goal is to hit this ball in the air and on the club face X number of times in a row, a certain distance, before they could progress onto the short course. I believe this was at Lahinch. And then after that, now you can go ahead and get onto the big course at some point later on down the road. But it's just like, I think too many times we rush out there when we're not really properly prepared to know how to hit shots and how to hit the ball on the face of the club. Right. And recognize that.
And then how do they know, right? So we have the technology that tells us, how many putts, where we're hitting stuff. If we miss, it's right or left. So we can call that just results data.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
And then, game data. I don't know how to.
Yeah, I think game data, and I think it pertains to each individual. And what I like about some of these companies that are out there, like a ShotScope or an Arcos, is they really relate to your handicap. There's stats out there for your peer group.
Yeah.
And that's huge because, like you said, hey, 20 handicaps, they're going to 3-putt that much.
I only hit it 200 off the tee.
So do every other 20 handicaps. So does most 20 handicaps. I mean, that's why I think you get excited like I do. If I get someone that's new to a game or a junior and I see him hit it, carry it in the air 260, 270, okay, you can get good.
Right.
You can get good quick.
Mm-hmm.
And people always wonder, why don't I improve so much? Well, again, if you don't hit far and you're not working on the game, part of the game to help you get better, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
But if you hit it far.
So that's where we should look for tech. We're going to look for tech that gives us a good picture of what we're doing so that we can actually have a good look at our game. Right. And then the other data is basically just, tracking software for flight scopes and what do you use? You use flight scope and
we've got flight scope and we've got a GC2 looking to get a quad next year, which would be a nice upgrade. But I mean, just taking that down to the range and I let a member take it down to the range in late fall, took it down there and he's like, well, I don't hit as far as I thought I did. And just that alone is huge, knowing how far you carry the golf ball. Because if you can't hit hit the ball so it ends up pin high, you're in tough shape. I mean, that same ShotScope, a great post they had on there was 80% of shots in all of their tracking are short of the green. That's a big number, and that's all handicap levels.
Exactly, and when you take one of your students onto this for the first time, especially somebody that's been playing, maybe not at a low handicap, but they've been playing for a while, they're kind of shocked that, your 7-iron does go 140, you carry it 128.
Correct. That's the biggest, that by far, if you know that, I mean, especially out here, there's some carries you have to get correct. Otherwise, you're on the wrong part of the green. You don't carry water. You don't carry a bunker. And then you start to throw uphill, downhill into shots too. But I think the carry number is a big one for me. Once I started to hit more shots on a launch monitor, I start to know that number better. Hey, it is what it is. I'm okay with it where it's at.
Yep.
And I think that even if you don't have a lot of time to practice, that's a simple one. You can get on one somewhere. There's a lot of these swing radars that are pretty darn good nowadays too that aren't overly expensive.
Yeah, what's coming down the pike? I mean, you've seen a few of them. So My Golf Spy just came out with an article today. I'm a fan.
I've not seen it, but I'm
a fan of My Golf Spy.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
They reviewed all of personal launch monitors, and they included the SkyTrack, which is a little bit more expensive at about $1,700, I think.
But still pretty good.
It was their number one pick. So they said that was the most accurate, but it's not very portable. It's not very good for outdoor use, right?
Gotcha.
And then you got the what's the Mevo?
Mevo, FlightScope Mevo.
And then there was a new one. I can look it up online. But what do you think about the personal ones? Obviously, if you're at a wonderful club like this, you come out and say, hey, Kevin, you want to come out to the range and show me what would you do? So let's say 15, 20 handicap somewhere in there, really wants to improve this year, wants to drill down. After we've looked at all the data, we see that there might be not the best knowledge of how far the clubs go. What would you do?
I think the one of the biggest things is after we have that data, first I'd look to see if there was any real gapping issues in their clubs. A lot of times you get to those longer irons like a 5-iron. They think they hit it further than they do, like other clubs. When actually the carry distance is the same as a 6.
The ball speed is faster.
Ball speed's faster, but it doesn't launch high enough to carry far enough.
Right.
So now you have a big problem because that ball hits the green at the same distance as a 6-iron, but rolls out 20 yards, and they think they hit it further when they actually don't. So, it sounds weird, but one of the biggest things I'll say to people when I think they're not sure how far they hit it, I'll say, okay, you have 150 to the hole. What are you hitting? Well, that's my 7-iron. Okay, now you have 150 on that same shot, but you're carrying water. It's 150. Well, that's a 6-iron. I go, well, if we hit that 7-iron, you're probably in the water. And that 6-iron might get over that front edge. So, I'll take that, and I'll literally take them on the golf course and have them pick a club with me. What are you going to hit here? And I'll say, nope, let's hit that one more. I think more people could go and take that back yardage to the back of the green. So we talk about another tech device.
Yeah.
Those little simple handheld units that give you front, middle, and back are more than most people need.
Apple Watch does it now too, yeah.
That's all you need, front, middle, back. And probably for the most golfers, you could take that back yardage and you're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. How many guys do you play with that are amateurs that hit over the green on a solid shot?
I'm still waiting to see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Miss-hit? Yes.
Sure. Skull
wedge, yeah. A wedge that's head high. But for the most part, they're not. They're short.
Let's talk about that. I'm a huge fan in wedge matrix. That's where putting and wedges is where every golfer has a swing that's powerful enough to get something going and practice that and get a lot better. If you drop somebody inside 100 and they're getting up and down half the time, which first of all, that'd be like tour level, but you put somebody in that place where they feel like they can just throw it next to the pin.
Right.
And now all of a sudden that changes the game. It doesn't matter how you could hit it 150 off the tee. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter because you give yourself the chance to make par.
Right.
Or maybe it's a bogey after a bad shot. But
okay.
You look at that wedge play is huge. And to me, a lot of that stems from, I'm looking at right now on my desk, a thing from a ping wedges on different soles on wedges. And it can be gapping in wedges that is poor.
Right.
Too many times you see people going with the lofts being stronger because the ball needs to go higher and it carries a little bit further. Well, most of that is because the technology in the club and the loft being stronger just make sure it doesn't balloon straight up.
Right.
But when you get to your wedges, if you've got poor gapping, you're kind of stuck and you're trying to hit a shot that doesn't go that far. So, a lot of times I'll take people down there on one of the launch monitors and just have them hit wedges so they know how far that's carrying and really know, okay, hey, you've got these 3 of your stock shots with your wedges. Now we have to find something for these other ones.
And that's kind of the progression of the golfer, right? So they get wedges and we teach them how to get the ball in the air when they first start. Yep. And then once they get the ball in the air, they hit these moon shots that they can't control the distance of.
Correct.
That's I think if anybody's been playing golf for a while and they want to get better, it's flighting wedges.
Without a doubt. I agree with you completely.
And so I just kind of taken, I don't know if it's an arbitrary number, but it's a number when I look at the TrackMan data and some of the launch data that I'm seeing out there, that 30 degrees for your wedges and under is probably a good place to start. You can be a little bit higher. Again, that brings the TrackMan or the Flight Scope or one of the launch monitors back into effect. Mm-hmm. But so flighting, this is kind of how I attack it, and you can tell me how you do it. I like to tell people, okay, we're just going to swing your sand wedge. We're going to try to flight it where it should be, as low as we can usually. And then once we get it there, we're going to record that number. We're going to see what that number is. Let's say it's 107, right? We're going to pick either 105 or 110 if you want to, something easy to remember. And then you're going to practice that distance. Mm-hmm. And then that club, when it comes out of your bag and you have 104 or 110, you know that this is the club. You swing it and you can get it there.
Right.
That's kind of how I attack it. You find a number and then you practice that number.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree completely. If you can get, like I said, if you can get like with your 3 or 4 wedges you've got, if you've got a number with each of those, we all kind of have that. I mean, I think people that played a lot,
sure.
You get a sand wedge, you're like, it's 85. This is perfect.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But it's also based off of that height, because you and I both know generally the harder someone swings with that wedge, that ball's either going to go higher because they're going to break down impact, or they just broke down impact and sculled it,
right?
Or possibly a chunk. There's 3 of the 4 things I'm mentioning aren't good.
Right.
So that means there's a 25% chance they hit a good one if they swung too hard.
Yeah.
But that goes to flighting. I mean, to me, when you can flight that ball down, that's big in all types of conditions. Downwind, into the wind, no wind.
Yeah. How often do you replace your wedges?
The funny thing is, every year I will replace them.
Me too.
If I was a consumer and playing as little as I did, I wouldn't change them probably as much.
Correct.
But every time I get my new wedges, I'm like, oh, these new grooves are great. And I have to remind myself, no, they're new.
Right.
And that's really what it is. They're just new and clean and fresh. And I mean, I think I got a stat on here where tour players change every 3 weeks to a year. Yeah. This was at a ping seminar, is that every 3 weeks to a year. So if you're playing 100 rounds of golf, those wedges have to be out of your bag. You can't play them. You can't play them the whole year.
And it sounds like we're selling wedges, but
right.
So part of the flighting of it is, so what people need to understand, yes, spin rate spins the ball more,
yep,
and it might climb a little bit more, but more effect on the softer shots and the softer wedges is that new fresh wedges do grab the ball more, which actually gives you initial launch lower.
Yes.
So
that's the part people don't get.
I give you a fresh wedge, you'll hit it lower.
Yes.
And it'll spin more.
Yeah, it'll spin more. And as a result, you'll be like, man, the grooves on here are great.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just they're new. That's all it is. But I think that's the biggest thing. And it's sometimes that's hard for your average player to understand that they need to replace those, when they've got, let's call it the Titleist SM5 Vokey wedge in the bag, and now the SM8 will be coming out. Those SM5 should have been out 2 years ago, if not 4 years ago.
Well, this will sound like a commercial, but those new ping, your full disclosure, your ping staff.
Yeah.
I'm TaylorMade staff, but that new ping Glide 3.0 online, TXG
Golf did it. Yep.
They soaked all the wedges down with water and the balls with water, and they did the launch stuff, and the Glide didn't lose much spin at all.
That hydro pearl finish is amazing.
Yeah, are you noticing that you can actually see it?
Yes, you can. I noticed a difference, I thought, with the 2.0s, and again, not to sound like commercial, but our sales have gone up in that wedge just from that report alone. I think it's going to be something that's really good, and it'll be nice to get people a really full test to get them out here. Right. With them,
Hey, if you play in the morning, this might be
it's
something
a huge
to look
deal.
at,
well, no, I mean your better players, even it doesn't have to be a better player, but your better players can play in tournament conditions, and those conditions might be in rain, might be early morning.
Yep.
Your club player, you've got your dew sweepers in the morning, they're out playing. It's still wet in the rough, and it makes a difference.
So there's some new technology to look at.
Right.
So I brought up the My Golf Spy article, and they said here, best personal launch monitor is the SkyTrack. And if anybody doesn't know about the SkyTrack, you can go online. It's I don't know, what do they call it? A photo optic or something. Yeah. Basically, it takes a couple pictures of the ball as it flies by, and it gives you the launch and spin rates. And it's pretty accurate. They find it pretty accurate. And then the new one that just came out is the Rapsodo MLM. Basically, it looks like a unit that you set your phone on, and then it'll give you just a little data, and then it'll show you actually, I think, a video of your swing too. So that's nice. right around fine. Then the Flight Scope Mevo, which we talked a little bit about. Have you had some experience with that one? I have not yet. Okay. We've only done more of the handheld. I think it's the Speed Radar and the Swing Caddy. Swing Caddy's another really good one. The Caddy SC300. Yep, that's an inexpensive one. And then they've got another model that will actually give you a little bit more data as well. Okay. Yeah, and for the most part, I think what you can always do is find a TrackMan or something somewhere, and you can take your unit over there and see, okay, it's always off 5%. Right. Good enough. right?
Right.
And as long as it's consistent and it's in those cases,
then you know where you're at. I mean, even with so many in our area, so many of these indoor simulator places popping up.
Yeah.
Even if you go in there, now your numbers might be a little skewed with the mat you're hitting off of, as we know that affects the golf ball. But there's even mats out here now that are so close to hitting off a turf that the numbers are going to be close. But you go spend time at one of those and practice for a little bit.
Yeah, you got Sticks down here, and
Sticks not too far from here. Yep. That's a great popular spot.
Very good. And then indoor place, you can have a couple beers and
have fun. Play some golf. Play some golf or just practice for an hour.
Yeah, which I mean, I love talking about tech, and there's lots of feedback you can get, but kind of at the end of the day, as long as you're moving those muscles on a consistent basis, you're gonna keep going up over the winter.
You are, and I think that's the biggest thing is now when we lost the domes in the area, that was a big downer for people,
for sure.
And as long as you have some place to go and keep swinging, I mean, simulators in the house are becoming more common.
They're affordable.
It's affordable to do when people are building. They put it in the room, and those people. I've always thought you can get a lot of stuff done during the winter if you've got the right data and information when you're practicing or when we're teaching.
Right.
That used to be the case before when it was just a video camera and a net. Not so much. Right. I mean, you could get a little bit done.
And we always knew that in the winter, at least, you could try a bigger move, a bigger change, and you could just be absolutely miserable for a week or two, where we wouldn't do that during the season. We'd want to at least still play golf, but and not that you should be miserable, but to make a big change, you're going to be very uncomfortable, right?
Correct.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's
in the winter. I think that's great.
It's a great opportunity to make that grip change that you might have been struggling with, that little bit of path you're trying to work on, getting that club path a little bit better. Great time to do it.
Talk to your instructor, though, right? Like if you're going to take a Florida trip at the beginning of March, don't necessarily try it right before.
Don't do this late February.
No, give it what would you say, 4 weeks?
Yeah, 4 weeks is perfect.
4 weeks if you can meet with your instructor once a week.
Yeah.
And obviously.
And come up with a plan. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing because, winter gets busy as well. You've got a lot of maybe family, a lot of other activities, sports they're involved in. And if you can't get over there, just make sure you give yourself enough time to be able to work on that stuff. But it's a perfect time because it doesn't matter. Your next shot doesn't matter.
Yeah. So speaking about tech, so if somebody came to you, Kevin, I'm looking for my wife golfs all the time. I'm looking for one cool little tech gift to put under the tree this year. What do you think you would name? I would first thing came to my mind was a Golf Buddy Voice 2. All right. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah. Just because it's so simple. Mm-hmm. This one's actually that little device that just gives you the distance to the holes. Yeah, okay. For when they're on the golf course. Oh, that would be just like it's yardage, a GPS. Okay, yeah. Excellent. Yeah. That'd be the simplest one I would do. It could be the Bushnell Phantom. It could be any one of those, but it's simple. It's front, middle, back. Gives you that because that's information they need to know. Yeah. And then what do you think about blast golf? That's something that comes to my mind too. Yeah. Love blast golf. That's something you can throw on your putter. You can throw it on a club too. I've been using it almost exclusively for a putter. I have too. Yeah. You grab your iPhone or iPad and it shows you every step. Yeah. I think the biggest one is if you can sit and practice and getting your timing down of your stroke. And if you really, as you know, there's that little online or tutorial on the app. If you just follow those, work on your backstroke time, your forward stroke time, your tempo, you just work on that stuff right there, you're going to be better at what you're doing because most people are across the board when they get that in hand. Nice. Oh, and we talked really quick. I'll just, one more thing in the fitness space. You were talking about the Theragun? Theragun. Theragun. Yeah. Oh. What do you think about that? It's a must-have. So what is this Theragun? It's a kind of a jackhammer for your muscles, right? Percussive massage. Okay. It's basically a tool for percussive massage. There's 2 different units that they have. The top of the line unit, adjustable, some more attachments. I will say this: it's been a huge thing. I was introduced to it by as part of the PGA Ambassador program, which I know you're a part of. Yeah. And well, I just got mine. I haven't really tried it yet. I used it this morning, buddy. every day. Okay. I definitely work on it on the legs, work on some sore muscles after working out. As you know, with this time of the year, we got a little more time to do that.
Except maybe they don't. You're busy all year round.
We're ramping up.
Yeah, you're ramping up. But it has been a huge deal. I think we've got 5 of the 6 people that are on staff right now here at the club.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. We fell in love with it because of how it helps recovery. I mean, that'd be the biggest thing I would say. Sore muscles. As you know, you're on your feet a lot during the day.
Yep.
And we're not getting younger.
Yeah.
So if we got to keep stretching, we got to keep the muscles loose, keep them relaxed. And this thing does a fabulous job and coincides great with workouts.
That's great. Yeah, I want to try it, see how that works. Well, the first time I saw it was part of our gym works on power lifters, and these guys, they're lifting these crazy weights that scare me.
Yeah.
They're a little. But they're super strong, and they which is drawing a lot of parallels with me in golf too, because your technique has to be really good, but then you also have to be an athlete at the same time. And the better athlete and the better technique together, it just really coincides that way. But the first time I saw some of those Theraguns or all this, they're squatting these giant weights, and all of a sudden they bring out this jackhammer for their legs, and they start pounding away at this thing, and I go, what is going on with that? Yeah. And that was a few years ago. Yeah. So now it's coming on to it basically helps your muscles recover.
Yes, it does. It gets rid of the soreness. I mean, I wish I would have had it on that Ireland trip, because I've had some back problems.
Okay.
Do work with my chiropractor. That's helpful. Stretch. That's helpful. But at the end of the day, these were things a foam roller couldn't do, your old classic massager couldn't do, and just really, really worked out muscles. The glutes, I mean, it's not comfortable all the time. It's painful. You can't be a flower. It's definitely, it hurts, but after a little bit, you start to feel the difference it makes and how you're able to move more freely. And I've just noticed a huge difference. I remember emailing John from Theragun about a week after I had him. I'm like, this thing's a game changer. I go, we've got one in the shop, the demo in the shop, and we've got 8 members that have already bought them, and it's going to be a good thing to add. I think just help people recover and play more golf and do more life activities.
And that's kind of the next level up, $300 to $700 about.
Yeah, I think so. But it's 4 to 7 retail.
So the price of a driver. And
really,
you can feel better all year.
Yes, you can use it year round. You can use it after you play. You're not going to throw it like you might a driver after that bad drive. This thing's going to help you, not always going to hurt you. But definitely something to look into. Be a great Christmas gift for someone.
Those are some great ideas. So thanks for the conversation today.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Good to talk to you again about this stuff.
Kevin Kramp, head PGA professional, head professional at Hidden Glen Golf Club. Thank you very much. And again, thanks for listening to Smash Factor. I'm Andy Fish, and we will see you next week.